All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome to the live stream. Taking a peek right now, futures fairly green. We have the VIX down, so that's a good sign. We have small cap futures up about 1%. Nasdaq right now is actually just about even, slightly red at the moment. We're making this stream. We'll come back to this a couple times just to check in on things as we go. But Dow and S&P look to open green. They were a little bit greener about like an hour or 2 hours ago. With the stimulus news and stuff. Now, it isn't technically officially like done. It has to go back to the House, and they got to vote, and then Biden's got to vote, or Biden's got to officially sign it, and so that is something. But it's done. So stimulus is here. We now know that checks will, by the end of the month, everyone should probably be getting their checks. And now it fills kind of, and also it fills a kind of a gap in terms of like adult dependence. So that's going to be an interesting kind of demographic to get that $1,400, because then you put money in the hands of potentially people who are in that like 18 to like low, young 20 bracket, and so who knows if that money gets tossed into the market and whatnot, and if a degree of that, so we'll see. That said, let's dive into we're going to dive into a bunch of different things. One thing to note as well, we have Bitcoin that's been pushing up, so we'll talk about Bitcoin here. Here's the S&P, right? So here's what we had last week, this kind of chop. I have a couple different lines in here. I have this kind of trend line across the tops. That's resistance, at least as of right now. We're nowhere near that top line resistance, but that was clearly an area that we hit a bunch of times and got rejection off of that point. Now, it wasn't like, okay, a specific number, it was uptrending as time went on. But that's just kind of like you can even think of it as like a channel. So people like to play channel plays. Well, here's your rough channel as of right now. So it's not perfect, but that's kind of a channel that we've been developing as of late. But here's our downtrend line. Have a couple tops hitting that. So getting back up to like that 390 is key for SPY. So we'll see obviously how it closes up, or how we open up come tomorrow on SPY. 390 is probably the key. Get back above 390. We're probably going to gun for all-time highs and probably hit 400, and then we'll obviously see what happens after that. So that is going to be the interesting thing to watch. Bitcoin as well, taking a peek over here. Let's pull up the 1 hour chart to get a sense of what was going on the past couple of days. Bitcoin actually pushed up here, I think yesterday, popped up here, or what was this? This is the, what is it, 7th? This chart seems like it's a little off. No, not really. Popped up into the 51K, and then pulled back, and then pushing back up. So back into the early last week, Bitcoin was up over 52,000, but it looks like we're gunning back up for that 52,000 again. If we can break over like that 52,000, I think Bitcoin may be taking a shot for its all-time highs as well. So here we go, right? It's going to be an interesting week. I think the overall market looks like it wants to bounce. Bitcoin is pushing up, so it should be an interesting week to say the least across a lot of stuff. So doing good here. Hope everyone's having an awesome weekend. It's, we'll see what happens. EVFM, biggest loser Friday. Yeah, EVFM. So everyone also, one thing to note too, we'll dive into, I have a list that we're going to go over a bunch of stocks that I have watching. Bottom plays, high short percentage, SPACs that I like, an EV play that I like, and then other oversold ideas that I have for the week. So I got a decent list. We'll dive into that as well. I'll do that early, so for those coming back to watch towards the end or come in late, they can refer to like the first 20 minutes, and then they pretty much have a decent idea of at least what I'm looking at, and then we can dive into more kind of back and forth stuff. So EVFM is a stock I played before. Oh, wow, this thing hit over 550. That's crazy. So EVFM, here's the worry. People are talking about ZOM. This is just kind of one of those things I want to let people know my thoughts, because I'm sure I'll get the question at some point, or I've gotten questions about it too before, comments, DMs, and stuff. So the reason why I'm kind of somewhat skeptical on ZOM, it's up a lot, but here's EVFM. They had a catalyst, I believe, at early September was the launch of their product, right? EVFM was like the non-hormonal birth control. I think it's actually like doing well, or I believe the product is still, I think, a solid product. However, the launch date was the catalyst, and so the stock ran up into the catalyst, but then once the launch date hit, the stock plummeted. That was the news, and also the CEO just sold some shares at the time as well. So that's why the stock came down. That's my concern about ZOM. Unless they do a really good job with the PR team and they put out a nice press release and they really kind of fluff things up, unless that happens, I'd be careful about to sell the news into ZOM's March 30th true formal launch. That's just kind of my, we can look at the chart too later, but that's my worry. EVFM getting crushed. However, it's coming back down. So this area right here, this 320 seems to be an area that was resistance in the past. It's getting back into a much more favorable range. but then it pushed down here and it dropped all the way down under 250. So this didn't hold up, got crushed. I think they had earnings, right? They must have had, yeah, that was earnings. So yeah, it's getting back into a favorable range. I do kind of like where it's sitting, to be honest. So if I'm not looking at it right now because it's the first day. So if you're in, this is not a time, I think, to panic sell, because here's your spot. You know, let this thing come down. You have room down to $2. If it goes below 2, you let's see what happens. Give it a wick down to 191. It seems like that was a low back in September. And if it can't hold that, then maybe that's where you cut it. So I would give it a little bit more room down, but this is the buy range. I mean, this range has been decent lately. I haven't been able to dig into the news and earnings, so I don't know enough about it right now, but technically speaking, seems like a better spot to look at it. GNOG, this one I got, all these stocks, guys, let's be honest, a lot of these SPACs, they got kicked to the curb. I mean, you know, they got crushed. However, this candle is like a nice reversal candle. Why is that? Well, because what it shows, and of course the market recovered. But what it shows for this specific stock is that it came down. The sellers brought this thing down to 1232. Okay, then the buyers brought it back, and so we have a hammer forming. A hammer. So the top of the candle is like the body, and then there's a massive wick to the downside. Even though the candle is red, it's a hammer candle. So now this shows the buyers brought it all the way back up, almost got the stock back to even on the day. And then we'll see what happens. This many times is followed by a nice green candle. We'll see, obviously, the overall market has an effect here. But this is a company that I believe in longer term for like a longer term swing. I still have shares in my longer term swing account. I actually, if anything, I will buy more of this. I actually maxed out my current cash in that account into NEO. I bought a lot of NEO. So I like NEO longer term. So that's what I was personally buying last week. Let's see. GEVO. This is another one too. GEVO is on my list as a stock that I have for an oversold bounce. The only issue with some of these though, and here's why it's going to be kind of like, I would take a lot of these stocks as quick day trades or I would take some of these positions if you're going into something like a GEVO. I would go under the assumption that I'm looking to take some profits intraday. That's just my take, because we haven't really bottomed out. If we bounce and all of a sudden slingshot back to the upside, that's certainly possible. We might kind of fake our way back up, kind of have like a fake bounce, and then the market could pull us right back down. We'll see what happens. But or even some of these stocks that have these kind of downtrends, right? We're just downtrending. We haven't bottomed out. Like, I would love for more of a consolidation kind of bottom. So like if GEVO came down to like $6 and like held up around 6 or 7 and bottoms out and it's holding support here for a couple days, yeah, that's a better entry point. But I do like it. If GEVO gets back above, looks like $8 or so, that would be a nice move. We got to get back over like 8 to like 825. That would be a nice move, and I would say this is probably prime for the next, or for another move to the upside. Let's see, what do we got for Sen Sonics? This one was up in the after hours too, I believe. So this thing had the same type of candle, right? A lot of the stocks we're looking at had these kind of bullish looking candles, right? They had these big selling, they had these big wicks down, sellers, and then the buyers brought it right back up. And then this guy had, let's see, they had some push in the after hours, I believe, if we can look, right? Yes, this thing looks like it wants to get back up and get back going. So we kind of had a channel that kind of broke, or to some degree. We can take a peek. Roughly, I would like to see it get back above like, it seems like we had some support up around like 325. Back over 3 would be pretty key for Sens. I'm not a huge fan, at least some of these charts, because my style is just more so the bottomed out plays, right? So let them give them some more time to bottom out. Again, who knows how this is going to go if things bottom out, or because the difference we have here between what's going on right now and what we had in like after the period of time from like July, August, September, October even. At that point, it was a slow death for a lot of these penny stocks. And so they slow, like if you even go back to Sens, right? Let's take a peek. Like, yeah, look at it. Like it was up here at like 60 cents back in, August, but it was kind of a slow death, and it slowly grinded its way down, hit a low of 35 cents before recently it's been pushing up. But again, right, you want to look at these charts and say, hey, this is a 35-cent stock back in November. Now I know things have changed. I understand that, right? But chart-wise, this has a lot of range to come down before it can bottom out and come back up. So I would like to see this thing holding up in the 2s. I don't want to see it dropping below 2. If it does that, then I just personally would not be a huge fan. Unless your due diligence and your conviction behind the trade, behind the play, is enough for you to say, hey, I want to hold this. I'm looking to hold this not just for a swing trade. This is more of an investment. If that's the case, that's like a whole other kind of story, right? That's a whole other kind of style. CCIV and PLTR longer term plays. Yes, I don't have any CCIV, but I've been buying PLTR, and I think it's a longer term hold. ARK Invest likes it as well, which is awesome to see, right? So there's that. FOMO into UWMC last week. Let's take a peek at UWMC. I liked it. I just personally think that it had its pop. It may be coming back down for quite some time. It's not in your flashy sector. We'll see though. Maybe this recent run reignites the fire to a degree. I sold my shares on this pop, and I was looking to get back in lower, and I didn't buy any yet, but kind of came right back down. So it came back under 10. Personally, I think this could be a really good longer-term play. They have a dividend coming as well, I think, in the next couple of months. This is going to be, I think, a pretty good long-term play. And if you want to bet on a solid CEO, I like the CEO from all the interviews that I've seen from him. I like the CEO. So you're betting on more than just, the CEO. You're betting on the company also. But I do like what they have going for it, and they want to take over the space and dethrone kind of Rocket eventually, right? So I think you got to give it time for that to happen or for that to potentially work out. PLTR going to rock and open. It'll be awesome. That's like a lot of my IRA is PLTR. What are some green lights? So yeah, the first thing is what I want to see is I want to see stocks starting to hold up. So we'll have to see. The thing that I'm kind of not scared, right? You shouldn't be scared, right? At the end of the day. But if we look at what happens, and let's say SPY tomorrow shoots back up to like 390 plus, well, we're pretty much right back to where we were. We had a pullback, yes, but we're right back to where we were. So I would personally like to see more of a slower grind. If we don't see a slower grind in a lot of stocks like we're looking at, right? Even EVFM, we just talked about before, if GEVO, if a lot of these stocks that took these big knives down, that just went down like 20, 30+%, these small caps or these SPACs or these high growth plays that are getting crushed. If the market just bounces right back up to all-time highs, and these stocks bounce this week, and it happens that fast, and they're right back to where they were trading before this bigger dip, that would concern me. So this week is not going to be like, oh my gosh, fear week, unless we see some more, unexpected, fears. Who knows? Or sell the news for stimulus. I don't know. It doesn't seem like the futures want to do that. But unless we see something like that, personally, I think if we get the slingshot back up, that would be somewhat concerning. Because then I think we're right back to where we were, and we could see another dip or another downside drop. So let's see how that goes. That said, then I want to see stocks starting to hold up. I don't want to see stocks. I don't want to be looking across a lot of stocks and just see continual downtrends, nothing holding support, right? It's like I was saying about last week. Like TTMP is one. I think it's on my list. Yeah, it's a bottom. It was on my list as a bottom play, but for example, it's plummeting through support. So I would like to see this stock holding up at where it's at, or maybe regaining $3. I want to see some of these stocks that have been just falling through support, holding up and regaining some support, and not just continuing their nosedives. If we see continuation of some of these nosedives, that's like, okay, I don't really want to be taking a stab at some of those stocks, and there's other options out there, personally. Call on the dot. Yeah, that's what I want to see. I mean, who knows if we're going to get it, right? But that's what I want to see. I mean, everyone can want to see, whatever. Doesn't mean that's what you're going to get, though. Thoughts on SOS? Yes, SOS is going to be a solid play tomorrow as well. I know they have the whole short seller report stuff going on behind the scenes. Actually, let's take a peek while we're here. We can peek at SOS and see. So they came out on Monday and they responded to the short allegations, but they didn't respond. They essentially said that they are like, no, hey, we want to defend ourselves. We're going to provide more information in the coming days. But we haven't gotten that yet, at least to my knowledge, as of right now. So that's what we want to see. We want to see SOS come back and put out everything that they got on the line, saying, hey, here's what we got. Here's why the Hindenburg report is wrong. And here's why you should invest in us. And so that's what we want to see. They had some shots from the headquarters. They had their logo up on a lot of things. No one on the main floor. Who cares, right? Obviously, with what's going on in the pandemic. Yet I'm not going to take that with I'm not going to be, oh my gosh, there's no one on the ground floor. There was a video coming out from the headquarters that Hindenburg shot. Then there was a video that SOS sent out of like on the roof or up on wherever they hold the miners, right? The cryptocurrency miners. And so the rigs, they were going through showing that they're real. And so we saw both sides to kind of the argument there to a degree from SOS. But I still think no matter what, I think people are going to come to SOS. I don't think it's a bad play. People are going to come to it. So I think we're going to shoot back up. SOS gets up over $8-9. That gets interesting. Back over 10, this thing could get really going. I think a lot of people are going to be like, hey, Hindenburg, burn the shorts, right? And this thing could just rip just because of that. So I think we can see a lot of that. I personally, like I said in what was it, yesterday's video, I have Riot. I bought some Riot on Friday. Reason why was because, and I have orders set. Yeah, we can even see them. I bought 50 shares kind of as like a speculative Bitcoin bounce play over the weekend. So I bought 50 shares and I'm looking to take quick profits on that with some shares. And if it goes further, then it goes further. So I may wake up come tomorrow morning. If Bitcoin stays up over like 51,000, I'm going to wake up and both those orders are going to hit, because if the market stays green, that'll be good. And Riot took a tumble with Bitcoin with the market. So I think we can see a pretty good reversal, and then I'll ride whatever shares I have left as Riot pushes back on up. And that's the kind of the anticipation on that play. So I think we're going to see, that's currently where I'm at. But if we see a lagger in SOS, I'll take a day trade if I want to, right, on that potentially. We'll see. Let's see, going back through, let's see, PLTR announced Friday evening, new ERP system amps. Okay, look at that. PRLB. Proto Labs. This has come down quite a bit, but it's actually getting to a really good spot. This is actually looking interesting. And it had a nice day on Friday when it had that big reversal at the end of the day. Obviously, the market came back to kind of life. So we have this is kind of our range of, where we want to be, looking to buy right here, at least what I would say. So yeah, I don't know enough about the company, for me, but it's in this range, technically speaking, that I kind of like it. I wouldn't really want to see it going below like $100. So, you're risking like $30 to the downside here, yeah, for a potential move of like 100%, but possibly, right, if we get back up towards these highs. So this is the type of stuff that I think, the types of trades I like. Now, this is on a much higher price stock than I traditionally trade, but it's the same exact risk reward profile here, right? It's as if the stock was a $1.30 stock, and I'm going to risk it down to $1, and I'm looking to take profits maybe at like $2. So here it's like $200, right? Because we got some of these wicks up here towards 195, 205. So yeah, I like that kind of idea. What's up? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well as well. Looking for scalps. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, the scalps that I personally the days for me for scalps are red days, because I see overreactions and I can really take advantage of that. But you can certainly, we'll see how the week goes. And if I see some stuff, like for example, SOS, I could take a scalp here and there. If Bitcoin's pushing up, I want to take SOS, or I want to take Mara or Riot or something like that, for more of a day trade idea, then that's the plan. I'm pretty light in terms of my swings as of right now, considering what happened last week. So we'll see. This is the last week that I'm going to be trading on the cash account, because the accounts, I had it as a cash account for so long, but I've been kind of waiting to switch it back to margin, because it takes like a week for me to do so. I got to kind of liquidate all my positions and then go to cash. So I'm actually going to be away Friday afternoon through Wednesday. So I figured I won't be trading anyway, so I might as well use that time to transition the account back to margin. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is like the last week of trading, and then if I'm up nice come like Wednesday or come Thursday, I'll probably just cut everything and then go. What's going to end up happening, right? You guys know what I've been talking about when it comes to some of these oil plays, which we're going to dive into next. Let's take a peek at Izea. This is another one that's pulled back a lot. Here's the thing. I would like to see this high right back in here. See if this area holds. Let's see if we can put in a trend line roughly around this, like around $3. I mean, I would say you could probably give this thing a couple cents to the downside. So here's the kind of the range. I would like to see this thing holding 315 down towards like 265. Kind of saw the wick on Friday. I wouldn't want to see it dropping below this bottom from Friday. That's the red flag. But again, right, stocks up a lot is coming right back down. If this thing just bounces, great. I would like to see, to be honest, more of a kind of consolidation. Maybe it bounces back up towards like 4 and it consolidates at 4. Then that could be a better spot to take a shot at it, unless you're already in. So what's going to end up happening is I've been saying oil plays, right, for so long, right? What's going to happen, I can almost guarantee this, is I'm going to be out and away from the market, and that's when all my oil plays are going to rip. What it is going to be, it's going to be what it's going to be. But I can almost guarantee that's what's going to happen. So let's see. What do we have? How's oil been doing lately? Look at this. I mean, look at this thing. Like, this is just a beast. Crude futures right now, 67.26. I mean, this thing just keeps popping on up. If we go back a year. Remember when this thing went negative? Like, this is nuts. If you go back to the past couple years, we're right back up. We're back up to pre-pandemic levels for oil, which is nuts. So I think we're going to see an oil fest at some point across these small cap oil plays. I'm telling you, we're going to get it, and we'll see when it happens. But if I hope I'm able to take advantage of that. Those are fun. That was when I had back in June was the last time we had like a real oil fest. And I say oil fest kind of as a joke, but like I'm telling you, when those tickers run, they run hard. So we'll see if it happens again. Okay, let me scroll back down. Sorry if I'm missing stuff. If you guys wouldn't mind, hit the thumbs up button. That is all we asked. Get some more ideas in the chat, which is awesome. Let's see. Skills released regular hours article. Clove, what do you think of the recent uptick? Yeah, I think Clove is personally, I'm betting on the company longer term. So I have been buying. Actually, did I buy? I think I bought a little bit more, and then I sold a covered call. So I made it so that it didn't hurt me as much, right? I sold a covered call on it on a green day, and I was like, okay, cool. I can recoup a few bucks, lower my technical, like lower my average, I guess, on it, in a sense, by doing that. AYRO, I like AYRO as more of like I played it as more of a technical play back in here. Although this is one to watch. It's on my list as like my top EV play right now. Because, okay, there's EV plays that I see longer term on, and then as a shorter term EV play, and this could be a longer term play, who knows? But I like AYRO because of that Biden contract that he wants to get like all government vehicles EV. That is big for AYRO for the types of vehicles that they make. So for those who don't know, quickly pop to their website right here. These are the types of vehicles that they make. And so you can think about it like grounds vehicles for schools, for campuses, for hotels, stuff like that. And, here's what they say in government. They even have literally industry on their site saying government. Biden puts out that thing that he wants to go all EV by, I forget how soon or when it was or how many vehicles he said, but I'm sure you can look it up. But that's why I like AYRO. So as opposed to like AYRO versus Solo, I kind of like the business model behind AYRO a little bit better, right? I like the type of vehicle better here compared to Solo. That's just kind of my take on some of these things. So we'll see. Okay, go back here. What do we got? Let's see. SOS will pop in the next week. Yeah, if the thing is, SOS drops a PR, that's what you got to watch. I think the SOS could PR if they drop a PR plus Bitcoin over 50K. That's money. That's money for SOS for sure. Yes. If they give and if the response is legit and it's well written or it's well crafted, however they want to respond, if it's like an interview, who knows? I don't know what they're going to do. But if it's done well, that's going to be a crush to Hindenburg. Number one, everyone wants to bash on Hindenburg. Everyone wants to hate on Hindenburg. And I can guarantee everyone can get behind that if they come out and they're like, hey, we're legit, right? So thoughts on Vive? I want to see Vive drop below support. So this is my only kind of concern. Vive is a stock I'll play again. If it gets back over 3, I'll take a peek. It did drop below. So this is one of those examples of like, okay, like I'm not looking to try to catch this stock necessarily at the low. I would like to make sure we can develop some support, hold up for a little bit, and that's what we'll see. So I think the big telling kind of question for the week is going to be, how do a lot of these other penny plays or the small cap plays do, right? Do they continue? Maybe they bounce Monday like they did last week. They bounce Monday and then sell off. Like, for example, look at VIVE, right? Back on Monday last week, if I zoom in, this is this green candle. It bounced, it was up, but then the next 4 days, right back down. So we don't want to see that. We don't want to see that happen. So this could play out just like last week. So be careful, be cautious to a degree, but we'll see how the overall market reacts. And I do want to kind of see that small caps, what you'll generally see is that in weak markets, people flock to the small caps, right? They flock to the stocks that have less correlation to the overall market. However, lately, it seems like everything has a correlation to SPY, to the overall markets, to the Dow, to the NASDAQ, right? And so if we start to see a shift away from that, that would be a good thing in my eyes for the small caps going forward. But at the same time, this also resets so many charts. And so you'll see like a couple times a year this happens where you see the small caps get crushed, but it resets a lot of charts and it sets us up for like, oh, you're going to look back at some stocks. This is why having lists, and this is why having a trading journal to some degree, just so you can, if you're a swing trader, for example, right? So you can always come back to these stocks and play them again. Or even if you're not a swing trader, have big watch lists of stocks in different sectors. And if we see a sector get hot, for example, if crypto stays hot or if EVs get hot, and we see that rotation right back into them, right? That's all you need to start the fire, and then they run back again. But you see these resets, and then this is where you can take advantage on the move back up. You just don't want, you want to be careful though, obviously to a degree, because you don't want to get caught buying into the dip and it keeps on dipping, which is what people did from like August through October last year, and it blew people up. And I had a very shaky like 2-3 month period where like I literally didn't make any money. Like I was like negative or even for that period, and it sucked, but it was like everything I tried just didn't work. But you kind of get that happens, right? And so now going into the summer, people are talking about, hey, I think we still see a bigger downside correction to a degree in the overall markets, because if we take a look at SPY, yeah, while it was down last week at the worst on Thursday, was the worst of it, it really wasn't down that much. So when we say correction, I would personally want to see something like we kind of saw back in September. We had a downside draw from about 10%. Like you would want to kind of see like a 10% downside from the peak, from the highs, which we only saw about a 5.5%. So we really didn't see as big of a downside pull or like a rug pull as we did back in September. And everyone, if you think back to September, was everyone panicking then? I don't really remember it. Who knows? Maybe we were. I forget, to be honest, back then. But looking back, that was there was so much money to be made. Literally after this choppiness, there was so much money to be made post-election. So we'll see. But I think people are talking about that. So I think we could see a bigger downside draw, especially in small caps if they run back up. Get ready for the summer. Be careful. That's not a terrible time to say, hey, you know what? There's a reason why all these hedge fund guys and why the market's slower in August, right? There's a reason why. They go on vacation. If the market's slow, there's no need to fight it, right? Either you go all cash or you start day trading, you start scalping, you make a few bucks here or there, but it's better to not lose any money than to try to, it's better to just stay cash or maybe lose a tiny bit or lose nothing, right, and be out of the market and go do something else than try to force things, stand in front of the computer all day or all week or all night to force stuff. That's not going to work. So we'll talk about it as we get going. FSR will probably bounce pretty well, but FSR, interesting. I had $32 covered calls that actually we got like 15 cents away, but they didn't hit. So I'm glad I sold those covered calls. FSR is going to be a fun one just to hold long term. For me right now, my cost basis on my FSR shares is like so low. It's like sub 10. It's like sub 8 probably, because I was selling those juicy covered calls. Once it got going, FSR popped up. Look at these pops. I was selling covered calls on these pops. And, obviously you run the risk of being taken out if the stock goes over that covered call level and finishes the week at that point. Yeah, you can get taken out at that price. I luckily had a 32. So for me, it was like, okay, if FSR hits 32 this week, I'm fine with getting taken out here because, okay, they don't have any cars on the road yet. It's the same type of thing as like Lucid in a sense, or you can kind of correlate to a degree, right? You start comparing things to say, okay, this is still a very hyped up play. Is it realistic? Like, obviously we have Tesla as the example, but is it really so realistic, especially in a shaky market, for FSR to be, up over $50 for an extended period of time, for a consistent period of time right now when we still have over a year until production? Probably not. So that's why I kind of was comfortable selling those covered calls, and the premiums were nice. So when you see a lot of volatility, sell some covered calls on some positions that you have that you hold, that you're looking to hold longer term. And for me, I was like, hey, if they take me out at $32, fine. I mean, I'll buy it back lower. And if it did, it was 4 cents away. If I did, then yeah, sure, I would have just bought it back this week and be like, okay, awesome, great. So we'll see. May take a position in HUSA. I like HUSA. I like this could be a PR, waiting to drop. I have 1,000 at 219. I sold some at like 250 as it popped on Thursday and then it pulled back. So this is a stock. These are stocks that they're tough to play and chase. You don't want to be chasing the oil plays because they are so like, look at this. Let's go back a couple days. Like look at how quickly it pushes up. We get some volume, right? It wasn't super consistent volume, but it pushes up to 255 And then look at this. In a 5-minute span, it goes from 252 down to like, it hit a wick down to 222. So just that's the danger of chasing oil plays. You don't want to chase them. You want to be in before they run. And there's so many different oil plays out there. So like literally HUSA, you can look to CEI. Here's CEI. Here's another one. I'll pull up the daily charts. CEI is coming back down. Really good trend line support, at least on CEI. PED is another one as well. There's a lot of oil plays that you can go after. Find the one that hasn't run yet. AXAS is another one too. Find the one that hasn't run. This one's holding up very well, actually. AXAS is holding up very well, but it has that history of spikes. It has 100% in the tank, possibly, right? If it gets back up to $10, it's got 100% in the tank, I think, for sure. Find the one that hasn't run. That's the name of the game. CCIV is something that I know a lot of people are kind of stressing about and freaking out about. So for me, it's like, okay, for me, it's like someone who just likes to get the bottoms, so there's no stress in my type of trading. It's coming down to a pretty good spot. I like where it's at right here. I think this is a solid area. Down in the low 20s, under $25. If you can get that, great. If not, under $30, I think is probably just fine for the long term. It's a somewhat of a speculative play, but it's the same thing as kind of FSR to a degree, right? Let this guy get production. Let's see how people like the cars. And if that's the case, and if we see numbers and we start to see things pushing up, this is going to be a stock that makes a run towards $100. It's going to pull potentially a NEO type of move, right? Now, NEO is not 100 yet, but obviously if you take a look at where NEO was 18 months ago, that's the type of move we're talking about. Now, will CCIV do the same exact thing? No, but could CCIV go to like 20, go from 24 to 104 this year? It's certainly possible, or by next year. I could see that happen. And there's a lot of people who've done extensive due diligence on this one. There's plenty of videos out there and stuff too. So from what I've seen, I think it's a good idea. A good take some, put it in the IRA, put it in a long-term account. Don't worry about it, right? I wouldn't freak out, day to day. SPCE longer-term hold. Chamath has sold his shares of SPCE. So we'll see. Okay, I'm scrolling back through. Yeah, VIV, we looked at like twice a few minutes ago, so you can go back and check out what we saw. But like, I want to see VIV get back over 3 and hold 3. So we'll see. DPW held support 3. Yes, I think DPW with Bitcoin pushing back up and the crypto mining stuff. Yeah, the problem with DPW is that, let's pull it up. The issue I have with them is that they had, they're free fall. I mean, they're in free fall mode right now. Is if we look at, let's see. We pull up DPW PRs and we go to this. They put out some PRs they resumed Bitcoin mining on Friday. They amended, this is not a great look here too. They amended this, what is this? This at the market offering of common stock. So they amended this up to 200 million from a previous 125. So they're trying to milk out some more money there. Kind of a, okay, sure, I get it. But they're trying to use that for financing of acquisitions, technologies, EV charger, energy storage business, data center. They go through like all the 75 different businesses they have. It could get a pop. I would be just somewhat careful of them to a degree based on their prior histories of offerings and stuff like that and dilution, but I think it can get a nice pop. Let's see. ZOM. So my issue, but let's pull up the chart for ZOM. I think it held up pretty well last week. Let's take a peek. Yeah, it did. Well, yes and no. It held up honestly not as bad as I thought it could be. I think I wouldn't have been surprised to see ZOM back down towards like $1. It held up pretty well. Now on Friday it did dip down to 140, so it got pretty low, but then it recovered massively. Even by the after hours, it was up another 4.5%, which is pretty cool. But the problem with ZOM is that if you take a step back, look at this chart. The thing was a 6-cent stock in November. So understand that. Understand if you dive into, they have no revenue. ZOM has no revenue. They're launching their Trueforma product on March 30th. So we've got a couple weeks until that happens. But my concern is that once they launch it, what happens, right? Then you go through a dead period. And that dead period, right, could be the period where things go quiet. The company, if they go quiet, the stock just goes woo, right back down. And it goes back down sub $1 as fast as it went back up. Maybe not as fast as it went up, but it could come down quick. So that's my careful, I guess, caution, for ZOM. Be careful on it because of a sell the news. If we get towards the date and come March 30th, everyone's like, great, it launched, and the company doesn't put out a PR and nothing happens and it gets quiet, what happens, right? The stock could just go whoop. We saw it happen with EVFM. You can see it. You can go back to other stocks, other examples. It happens all the time. So that's my only kind of concern. So let's see. Good evening from Florida. Well, I am doing the live here from Austin, Texas. So weather's been great here, I have to say. Past couple days, nice and beautiful, sunny. This is like the prime time before it gets crazy hot. Okay, so I'm going back through. Sorry if I'm missing stuff. Let's see. SPCE longer term hold. I think it could be a decent idea. Let's pull up the chart. It got crushed, right? SPCE got crushed. Chamath sold his stake. I think he just saw what my take on Chamath's move for SPCE, for those who have, it was actually earlier today, I posted a video on this too. So he sold all of his, now I think he actually has shares through somebody else or through a partner, so it's not like he's actually completely out of SPCE and has no affiliation or no kind of vesting interest in them doing well. I think he does. But that said, this came straight down, but from his average, from where he had shares from, this stock was up a lot, right? For essentially to him. So he felt like he would take this money and put it to use somewhere else where he sees more growth. I actually had SPCE and I sold some up over 50. I sold half, and then I actually sold the rest on the downtick. Probably wasn't the smartest move. If I just sold more up here, right? Obviously, everyone's hindsight's 2020. But I wanted to buy NEO, so that's what I did. Now, I don't think it's actually in a bad spot. I do like SPCE as more of a speculative longer-term hold. So it's one of those stocks that, I think could have the chance to go crazy, and be a monster, $100+ stock. But it also has the chance to, we see in delays and we're seeing stuff like that. So short term, you might see a little more there might be more opportunities in a sense to pick this thing up on dips. That's just kind of my take. So that's what I personally do. I kind of did the same thing, right? If you guys have listened to any of the interviews with Kathy Wood, ARK Invest, and how she was saying, hey, in downturns, what they do for their holdings is that they trim some other stocks and they kind of narrow in to the core of what they really want to be in and their highest conviction trades. And so this one was one I already made money on. I only had half a position left. It came back down. It was still up on my average. And I said, okay, you know what? NEO's dipping. I want to buy NEO. That's a higher conviction, at least for me right now. Longer term, I like EVs. I think that's going to be a beast in the future. $100+ stock. So that's why I felt confident or felt better about just taking this money and putting it to NEO. It's just how I did it. Not that I don't like SPC, but I think it's certainly a longer term hold. We can look at it. I don't like, here's the thing. I stay far away from momentum stock. And this is an example of a momentum stock that ran up on a given day. So on Friday, it ran up. The reason why I don't like, I'm not good at playing the intraday action. I'm not good with this stuff, right? I'd rather be in before this, and I would rather do the due diligence and do the work to figure out that this company has news coming and get in before the news. That's what I like to do for my stocks. So I don't like to chase these things up here. Yeah, the stock went crazy and popped and hit up to nearly $10, but it kind of, you'd want to see eyes holding $5, okay? It seemed like $5 has held up pretty well in the after hours, so holding 5 would be key on eyes. Let's just draw a line in at 5. That's key. If it falls below 5, we have some resistance back up to like 450, 420, and then down towards like 325. There's a lot of room down. The thing with these things is that these are your traditional 9.9 times out of 10. These are your traditional pump and dumps in a sense where they have news, they run up for the day. The day traders, the momentum traders make their money, and then the next couple days, the shorts will make their money on the downside. So if I had to bet, this thing comes back down to a much more reasonable price. or a much more realistic price in terms of where it's been trading lately. So maybe this thing comes down sub $5 and it comes back down into like the $3 range or something like that, and maybe puts in a higher low from where it's been, but it comes back down and holds support there, and then you can play it again. So that's kind of my take on how to play these things. I don't like chasing them after this, and I definitely don't like buying them the second day after a run like that. I just think that your downside risk is still massive compared to your upside. DSS could be a decent playing with crypto, right? We need a PR, right? Oh, how is DSS looking? I had some, but I trimmed it because it didn't look great and it fell off, and I got rid of it. But they need a PR. They need a nice fat press release on DSS. Neo is one that I like a lot. It fell below. This is a stock that, to be honest with you, support I had in the upper 30s, and it worked out well back in like November, December. And I had a nice trade from that point up towards like 60 plus. A beautiful swing. It worked out really well. But weakness in the overall market, weakness in a lot of stocks, weakness in tech. This thing took a tumble, right? Also a Chinese company. People were like, hey, China, maybe it was an easy sell. It was an easy, okay, I'm gonna get out of this stock. I want to get into like my Googles or my Amazons or my Apples or whatever I want to do. So I'm gonna sell my Neo, and get into something else that I feel more comfortable with. And so that's kind of maybe why you see a more downside in some of these stocks. I was buying it though. So I bought some in the mid 30s, like 35-ish. I bought some more. So that's what I did personally. I have some more money coming into the IRA. It should be cleared and ready to go tomorrow. So I may buy some more in there as well. So we'll see. But I like it. It's less. This is more of a conviction trade, and so when you have more of a conviction on a longer term outlook and horizon, the technicals, they don't matter as much to me. Now, technicals, here's how I see it. Technicals outweigh the fundamentals in the short term. So when Neo dropped below 38, I was like, oh, look out, this is going to get dirty. And I took a trade on it actually. Here's what I did. In the pre-market hours, I was noticing the market looked like it wants to bounce. So I took Neo here at like 38. I took it at 38.30. And I ran up here. I literally had a sell for 39.93. And it hit 39.87. It was 6 cents shy of my sell. So I sold half. And then I ended up selling the other half down at my stop loss, which was the low which was like 37.30. So I ended up on the trade. It was like a break. I lost like $9. So it was a break even trade on that for me. But once it fell below that 38, I was like, this is going to get ugly, and it did. So that was kind of how I do it. But again, the technicals in the short term outweigh the fundamentals, at least in my eyes, short term. And so here, right, Neo drops below 38. Didn't matter how many people like Neo. Didn't matter who cares about EVs. Doesn't matter if Neo is the top competitor in China. It doesn't matter if they're coming to the US. It doesn't matter. What happens is you see that breakdown of support, boom, stock comes crashing down. Overreaction, yeah, the thing hit 31.91. In my eyes, if you scoop this thing up under $32, you got the biggest gift of your life. At least that's my take, and I could be dead wrong, but I think you're gonna look back at that in 2 years and go, wow. Thing might have a 1 next to it right in a year from now. So we'll see. Okay, I'm sorry if I'm missing stuff. I'm gonna scroll back through. This is not pre-recorded. This will stay up on the channel. So if you want to go back to the beginning, and you can replay, the beginning. So all that stuff. Cathie Wood is the real OG. It's going to be funny because I've seen, you have people who hate Cathie Wood and people who love Cathie Wood and everyone who just follows along. Right? You got the sheep that just follow along, right, to a degree. The way that I see it is that PLTR, Palantir, is a stock that they've recently started buying. I didn't start buying that thing because of them. I was like, I like this stock. It came down off of like 40s, wherever. We can look at it right now. I liked it. It came down off of the 40s where it was. And I was like, okay, this thing is back into like the 20s. That's kind of a decent entry. And then I started to look for an entry. I started buying some, and then I got the confirmation to a degree that they started buying a lot. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And the stock dipped even more. I was like, okay, I'll buy some more. And that's what I did. I'm currently down on my position, but I have an average, I want to say, around 25. So it's fairly close to where it's sitting at. So let's see. Tremont holding some. Yes. Yeah, I think he has. It's not that he's completely sold out. Technically speaking, if you look at SPCE on FinViz, it technically says that he has no shares left. Where is it? Right here. It says that he has no shares left, but I think he has. And there's more technical terms. There's more. It's more complicated. He still has ties. So let's see. I'm scrolling through. Sorry if I missed some stuff. CLSN. We can pull this bad boy up. Took a dive, but it held up here in the 140 area. This is a kind of a decent spot. I kind of like this range from 150 to 140. 135 I would give it down to, down to the low here that we had on the 29th. So yeah, 130-ish, worst case scenario. I wouldn't want to see it dropping below those levels. That's kind of your support level for right now, was a prior area of consolidation. So that's the area that I'd be watching. And I don't know what you guys think about the box, but I like the box. It helps at least me visualize things a little better in terms of, because I like to look at things, you can get stressed out over a specific point on a chart. Like, oh, I want to buy it at, 136. Great. But if you miss that timing, you want to I want to give myself more of a range. Like, hey, I want to start accumulating shares of this stock in this range. Maybe you get the chance, maybe you don't. I don't know enough about CLSN behind the scenes to say yes. Longer term, I love it. There's too many stocks, right? But this technical area seems like a pretty good entry point. At least I think. First week of March has been a Black Friday sale. That's what I hope to hear, right? More red tomorrow. Let's take a peek at futures right now as we're speaking. Futures are, tech looks like it's down slightly, but everything else is green. So it looks green. I wouldn't be surprised if we wake up, it would be great to see if we wake up even. Like if we wake up even tomorrow on futures and then we see a grind up throughout the day and we finish up like 0.5%, that would be awesome, because that says, okay, buyers are in control, nice and slow and steady. There's no crazy slingshot back to the upside. We're not right back to all-time highs in like 2 days. We're kind of a slow and steady grind. Things can get some time to stabilize. That would be great. So we'll see. Let's see. Biggest position. I think my largest position is probably in one of my oil plays. I think USEG, I think is one of my oil plays. I think is my larger one. Maybe not. I spread my oil plays out, so I don't have a max position in any of them. I have a couple of them. And I think I'm looking at CEI tomorrow as one that, while I actually just put this down really quick, I might just make sure I make a note because that's the oil play that I'm not in that I want to get in. I think anything under 130 is really good. If we get the oil run. If we get the oil run, then I want to be in those. I want to see the oil mania. If we get the oil mania, I will then retire for a week, and I'll come back in a week. And well, I'm actually going away, so I will take a week off, and it will be a nice end. But what's going to end up happening is the oil plays that I'm in now will all run the days that I'm not here. Yeah, that's how it works, right? Turch TRCH merger coming up. I know a lot of people who've been playing this. Let's take a peek. I think this is in a better spot. If you want to take a shot this into the merger, it's in a much better spot. Risk reward wise. So I think it could be a decent idea. I think under like 250 is probably okay. You have the risk to the downside for sure, but you're not at least you're not buying it over 350. I haven't done enough due diligence to be honest though. Did you get into EVFM? No, but it is now on the list because we looked at it earlier, right? And it's right back into that range that I liked it at. And I played it. Let's take a peek at this again. I played it twice. This will be if I play it again, this will be the third time. I played it back in here, made some money, plummeted on us, and then I bought it in the long term and I sold some there and made money on that. So I think it's actually the third or fourth time. And then I bought it here. I bought it as it was coming down towards 2. I bought it right here. We had a downtrend break. So let's take a peek. We got like something like, yeah, here we go. Here's the downtrend that we had roughly. We got a downtrend break. So I bought it. I had an average like 220 or something like that. And it popped up, hit 250 pretty quick. And then it slow grinder. And my price target was $3. And so we got $3 and I took my profits. And then a couple of days later it dipped down to 250-ish. And then it went to 550. So awesome for those who were able to ride it up even further. But I had a price target of $3. And I said, hey, hit my target. I'm solid. I feel pretty good about it. It was at the time, it was a fairly large, or it was a larger position. and I felt pretty confident moving on to the next one. That's just kind of my style. I'm fine missing out on this stuff. I mean, I don't care. I want the high percentage stuff. That's what I want. So, I didn't get it yet though, but it's on the list. Let's see how it bottoms out and how it reacts. Thanks for what you do, HLLPF. I haven't. This is the type of stuff. I also nothing against the TNSP or the TSNP. I don't even know the ticker symbol. But we can talk about OTC. I don't know OTCs. I'm not the best guy for OTC stuff. So personally, I can't really say. I don't like this because what happens is now you have mega downside. Yeah, OTC plays can have massive upside, but at the same time, when it's up like this, you have massive downside. So personally, that's why I don't play them. If I was to play OTCs, I would be the one that would be looking to buy here, and I think you have to do a little bit more due diligence. You want to get in ahead of the crowd. If you're playing OTCs and you find out from somebody else on Twitter or here or there, most likely you're paying a premium for for that stock. So the way that I see it is there's a playlist on the channel, how to find stocks to trade. The first video in that playlist, how to beat the pump. Like that's like the precursor, I think, to most people that need to watch that because it's a simple strategy and there's so many ways you can modify that, but it's a simple strategy that I think is the way you want to be the guy getting in here, right? You want to get in here and then be laughing when everybody's freaking out up here because you've already locked in massive gains, right? Maybe if you still believe in it, you can still have some shares, but you're taking profits on the way up. You're playing with house money here. That's the name of the game. That's what I found for my swings, game changer, right? When you start to say, okay, I use the Twitter, I use the social media as a scanner, right? I build out my lists and many times the patterns repeat. So, okay, I missed the first time. So that comes right back down to the area that I like. That's when I'll take a shot at it. And then guess what? The pumper who is still in it, who is now down on their position because they have a higher average potentially, needs to get out. They're going to pump the stock up saying it's the next best thing since sliced bread. And then you can sell into their pump and you make your money. Like that's a legitimate way people go about it these days. Now, it doesn't happen every time, but many times, right? The cycle repeats. A couple months later, stock's back at a support level and you like it again. They have catalysts coming up. They have a PR, boom, pops up and you're in before. That's the name of the game for swing trading these things. If you're going to day trade this stuff, you can day trade anything. You can scalp anything. Doesn't matter. But swing trade wise, that's the name of the game. As a scalp trader, one piece of advice, and we're trying to learn, have a watch list full of pre-market gainers and watch the volume into the open. A lot of times you get those open dips and you see a stock that has tons of volume in the pre-market that has news, and you get a crazy open sell-off. You can take like 5%, boom, if you're fast. And that's the other thing too. So I have a video on Webull hotkeys. I think it could be, for someone who's a scalper, it could be a game changer if you want to learn hotkeys. The platform that we use, by the way, is Webull. There's always a link below if you want to check it out and get some stocks in the process. Appreciate your time educating. Awesome, Patrick. Awesome. That's awesome. That's the name of the game, right? And the thing that I've noticed too, to a degree, and what I want to be doing more, I'm focused on more now going forward, is less of like the chasing. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day that I've come to realize, not that it's anything revolutionary. The name of the game for me, I don't care about the number next to the name, right? I don't care about the subscriber number. I care about the people who watch the videos, who actually get something out of the videos. And so the stuff that the top stocks and the crazy buy this thing now and like it's going to the moon, like that doesn't resonate with me. And it's also not the content that I want to create. Not that I really, to be honest, do too much. Sometimes, yeah, there's clickbait to a degree. But if you watch the content in the videos, I'm never the guy saying buy this. Like I never do that. I want people to know what to buy before the guy over there tells you to go buy something so that you're in before the pump, in a sense. That's the name of the game in this era of social media, right? So when everyone's FOMO'd out, freaking out about the FOMO, you want to be just like locking in your gains. All right, my price target's hitting. Nice, nice, nice. And now we can go to the beach. That's the name of the game. Thoughts on crypto? Let's see. I don't know. I really, to be honest, I am not the crypto. Outside of Bitcoin, like that's like literally like the extent of what I follow in terms of crypto. I don't follow any alt stuff. I really don't even follow Ethereum. Let's pull up Bitcoin while we're speaking. So it's at 51.5. Bitcoin, this is going to be interesting. It's getting up to like this 52, low 52, 52.5 is resistance as well. So it's getting up there. But it's got, if it cracks and breaks over that tomorrow, 60K I think we can see pretty soon. What's my strategy with oil plays? The oil play strategy is more of, honestly, this is more of a conviction strategy too. It's because we're watching as we speak, right? Where is it? Here it is. WTI is up. Oh, it keeps going up. It's at 67.75. It's up another 2%. Oil continues to go up, okay? And a lot of these oil tickers continue to go down. So my strategy with these oil small caps, they're not good companies, right? These are not the best companies. You can go play like ExxonMobil for like options trades. So you can go play that stuff. Let me clear this up so we can see it. But like HUSA, for example, right? Oil continues to move up. HUSA pushed up, but then we saw the weakness in the overall markets and small caps pushing back. However, this underlying oil price continues to push on up. So we're now at pre-pandemic levels, which is crazy to think about, and these stocks are coming back down. That's why I like them. So I'm grabbing a basket or like kind of a collection of these oil plays. And so, for example, USEG, HUSA, I've talked about these in plenty of videos too. CEI, PED, and there's AXAS. There's plenty more of that came from too. I'm grabbing them, and I have a kind of a bucket. So now, I'm not putting all my eggs into one trade, because if one stock or if one of these companies comes out with an offering, like for example, USEG it wasn't that bad, but USEG had an offering back in here. Now it came down further, but it had an offering. It was up to like $7, and they did a $5 offering. The stock came down to $5.25 like the next day. Now I have a couple, and I've been slowly adding some money into these things because my anticipation is that when they run, they do this. They do this. So we talk about playing for the spike, they spike. So that's why that's the strategy. Is playing for the spike, playing for the HUSA, HUSA. Look at this thing. I mean, I don't want to like tell people to. I'm not telling people to buy anything, but that's just kind of what I'm doing, right? I see these things that I'm taking profits on the way up, so I'm not saying I'm going to sell all my shares at 6, but this has $5 plus potential. If you throw in a press release on one of these plays too, they could ignite the fire and it could send it big. So that's what I would be looking for. Now, could they completely crash? Yeah, they could crash. Oil goes down. Be careful because we're getting up there. So oil at some point is going to stop. It's going to come back and it's going to have a nice pullback. So that's the careful. I'm hoping these things, hope is a terrible word to use, but I want to see them run relatively soon, or else I got to trim them because I just don't want to be holding the bag here if they continue to fall. Appreciate it, John. Everyone smash the like button. I appreciate that the hidden likes is honestly the main point for that is that we get more ideas in the chat. So I know I sometimes I can't catch everyone's comments, but I can see them, or at least maybe you guys can see them, and then you can hopefully it gives you an idea if it's a solid comment. 2 a.m. Get to bed, get some rest. This software that I'm using is Webull. There's always a link in the pinned comment and description box. It's a platform that I use. So you get some free stocks if you sign up and deposit $100. I get a free stock too, and that's it. In terms of like people who do like the whole YouTube stuff to sell a course or sell a product, I really don't do that. So the ways that I really make money outside of like ad revenue and stuff is just affiliate stuff. But I only promote stuff that I've used. So that's it. That's how I do it. I don't have a course, because the reality is that the winner of the course is the guy who makes a course is making more money than anyone who takes a course will ever make, in a sense. Sometimes, maybe not, but if you're teaching a skill, I get it. But to a degree, that's kind of how that stuff works. I don't see a need for that stuff because it's hard enough as it is to be consistently profitable. I don't want to add another barrier to entry for somebody who thinks they need to take a course or take this or take that when there's no need for that stuff. So that's it. That's my take on that stuff. INUV. Let's pull up this bad boy. And another thing, this has been a choppy one, but it's holding up around 1. So I would give it down to $1. I wouldn't want to see it closing below 1. So see these wicks that we had on INUV where it dipped below 1 briefly, but then recovered. That's fine. I just don't want to see it closing below 1. That's the name of the game. SNDL, I want to see it holding in the low 1s. The problem with SNDL is that they have a $1 billion shelf offering, so they could dilute some shares pretty much wherever they want, so I'd be careful with that. That's my take. Unless we see Tilray popping up and a lot of other cannabis plays popping up, SNDL is probably it's heavy in a sense. It doesn't it's a slow mover until they let it go. When I say they, whoever's holding it back, until they let it go, it's a slow mover. The algos are in control. The thing goes. If you look at the SNDL chart, I mean, look at this thing. If you look at the 5-minute chart, the 1-minute chart probably looks even more gross. This is SND. We want SNDL, sundial, whatever. Barcodes. It's a barcode. Like, this is what it is. See how it looks like a barcode? It's because algos, 1 cent up, 1 cent down, 1 cent up. It's just like the algos are buying and selling, and they're just doing that. And it's just, the 1-minute chart probably looks even worse. I mean, yeah, look at the 1-minute chart. Like, look at this thing. I don't, when I see that, that's not a stock I want to be in personally. Let's see, scrolling through HEPA, I think I'm still in. I'm giving it down to, I don't like to have to say that, but I'm giving it down to 150. I think it's going to recover too pretty quick. Insiders bought it too, so it's kind of honestly a play that I've played many times. I don't want to lose on it. I have an average over 2, so I'm going to hold it. I don't recommend that for most people, but that's what I'm doing. Would be smart for the tech. Well, yes and no. The problem with the scalp on the oil play is that when they run like 100+%. So yeah, you can wait till that happens, and then again, I don't like chasing them because you can also chase them and end up holding the bag, and there's no need to hold the bag on them. So it's a swing trade, idea. That's the nature of my swing trading. You buy the thing as it dips, you keep buying, you average into your position if you have conviction on it, and then you play it. That's it. It spikes and you're selling. You already have shares. You don't have to worry. They move. They're low flow oil stocks. They're not the best companies, but they move fast. The scalping on that stuff, you got to be fast and you got to be in the right place at the right time. And you're also not going to be able to capitalize on as much of a move. So if you have a swing position that you're building out over time and the thing pops, you're going to be capitalizing on a much bigger move. Whereas a scalper might come in and get the thing, like for example, HUSA, you might catch that when it's at like 275, for example. I don't know. Who knows? It might be at 275 and you might scalp it to 3. Maybe it hits 3 and falls back off. Then you miss out, hold the bag if you're thinking it goes to 5. I don't know. So I like getting in lower, having a solid position, holding that core, and then selling into the pop. But also, it's not like I'm throwing my entire account in it. I have risk management in place. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Appreciate the donation. Awesome. Which stock is the most I've averaged down? Probably was HEPA. I'm thin. HEPA, I'm thin. It had to be the oil plays. I bought some more USEG. I bought some more HUSA. Oh, I scalped some of that. It popped. I sold some, and I rebought some. HEPA was one that I scalped as well. I kind of like it down to 150. It's got some solid support, so I've been holding that one. Also, HJLI is another stock that I have. I trimmed. I didn't average down, to be honest, in too many things other than the oil plays, but also I didn't really average down, more so broadening the basket into like a different stock and adding more to different stocks so that I kind of diversify myself across a couple stocks. NEPT fell below my support, so I don't like it until it gets back over 150, reclaims that, then I will see. Also really waiting for the weed sector to kind of ignite. What we need on that is either some more news out of Congress or something, I don't know, another state or something like that comes out, says, hey, we want to legalize, and then boom, we get something like that, the weed stocks ignite. So that's what we want to see. Let's see. NSPR, this is one that I played before, but it's probably, let's take a peek. How's it doing? It's coming down. This could be a decent, I know people who like NSPR, honestly, even as a longer term play. This is not in a bad spot. Down here, it has some consolidation here, so it's right back to the spot that I played it from here up to like $1, so it's not a bad idea. EV craze will simmer for a while. I think it certainly could. You're going to see you'll just see kind of rotations into this and into something else, and then into EVs, and then into the cannabis stocks, and then into, who knows. So you kind of get that, rotation. So right now EVs aren't super hot. Tesla's been down. NIA's been down. You're seeing a lot of those stocks that are getting crushed. SOS with Bitcoin up over 51,000. I like that one. I think it's solid. PXS oil tanker play. Yeah, here's another one. Yes, this one's down though. So like, look, this is coming down to a much more favorable risk reward section or zone. So I like that, you know. So this could be a decent idea as well. AIKI, yeah, what I do with AIKI is I cut it because it fell over below 1, and then it reclaimed it. So ideally I could have stayed in, but I cut it for now. I did like the idea back in here, but I'm more technical in the nature of it. So we'll see if it can hold the 1, but I don't know. Well, news is probably the next thing. If they get some solid news, it can go. Appreciate the donations. XPEV. Another EV play. Let's see what we got for XPEV. This has come down. This is getting down to a really favorable spot. So if you like, I mean, I'm being honest. I like the XPEV. I like Neo, and then there's Lee as well. The trio for the Chinese EV plays. I don't think that these are gonna be. Well, they had a lot of hype, right? But again, stepping back and looking at the growth that we're seeing in the EV market right now, and the growth we're seeing in China, I've only given, like, the extent of my knowledge, I've felt more comfortable going into Neo than XPEV, so I haven't been able to I haven't really dove through enough of their stuff to feel comfortable with taking a position here, but it's getting to a much more favorable level. It's right back to a much better spot. You know, down under $30 is pretty good in my eyes for XPEV, if I had to say. So I like that. I think but it's also, I would be careful here and say, hey, like, don't stress out about it. This is a longer term hold, right? I don't think XPEV is a stock that you want to be selling anytime soon unless there's significant fundamental change in the company. So it's been on a pretty nasty downtrend. We can take a peek at this. That's kind of nasty, but I think if it breaks back over that downtrend, breaks back up over like 30, this is going to probably make a nice reversal. Have we talked about Neo? I think Neo bounces. If the market bounces, Neo probably bounces. I think it's fine. I bought more Neo last week. I'm not worried about it this week. I'm worried about it next year, you know, type of thing. So that's at least my take on that stuff. The EVs will be up and down. They're going to have their days. They're going to have their, you know, they're going to have their ups. They're going to have their downs. But they're also, you're betting on you're seeing what's happening. You're seeing the hype that was up in this sector. There was so much hype in this sector. It's cooling off. And that's a good thing to give people entries for a sector that, if you believe in, will continue to grow, which I think that the numbers don't lie. I think that's where things are going, right? You believe in that, and you believe that we may even see more growth than people are even expecting sometimes right now, right? And I think these are really good dip buy opportunities for some of these plays. How much should I start off on trading? Yeah, so I started off, I had a couple accounts back in, years ago. I started with like 2,000. I lost it all. It was literally at the time, it was like, I have honestly, like, the stories, like the videos and the stuff that I have planned in the next couple of months and years, honestly, are going to be awesome. But to dive, I think, more into kind of the story too. But, in the meantime, I've been focused on what's in front of us. But I was trading options, lost it all, didn't know what I was doing. I was in college, no idea. Then what I did was I was kind of dabbling here and there. I always would follow things. I'm more technical in nature, so I eventually took a course. I took some stuff. I'm not saying people have to do that stuff, but I took one, and then I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. I started off with a couple $100. I had an internship, and pretty much the internship was cool because they paid for my housing. So at the time, I literally was getting paid, and this is the most money I was getting paid ever at the time, right? I was getting paid like as like a junior in college. They were paying for my housing and some. They were just giving me like a $3,000 a month or something like that, something crazy, for like housing and food. And then they were still giving me like the actual salary, right, for the internship for like 12 weeks. So I literally put all that money that I was making, and I just put it into an account, and I kept compounding the account outside of like a trip here or there, or some stuff some stuff I would buy here and there. But I compounded my account, and then I proceeded to bring that up a couple thousand, and then I lost a couple thousand here and there playing options. And then that's when I eventually found trading small caps, trading penny stocks. And so what I decided to do then was I made a new account. I made a Webull account 18 months ago. I have a couple of different accounts now. I have an IRA. I have a longer term swing account that have been building on the background as well, the longer term swing account is pretty solid. That's actually now that what I'm using that one for is I'm using it for your SPAC plays, your higher growth stocks, but your less risky stuff, like FSR, for example, from a couple months back, right, is one that I've been cashing in nicely on. And if I'm paying my taxes essentially through that account, so that's the account that I'll cash out. I'll use whatever extra money that I'm making there. I'll pay the taxes on. It's this way I can compound the Webull account. The Webull account was started 18 months ago as like a challenge account to a degree that I've been documenting on the channel literally from the start. 300 or less, it was like $250, okay? So the only additions to this account was like here and there. I think I added like a couple $100 of my own money, and then I added free stock. So if someone signs up to the platform with my affiliate link, I get a free stock, right? You guys get 2, I get 1. And that's the only addition. So that account has gone from under $300 to teetered at 51,000. It's like 48,000 right now. And I show that every single Saturday we dive into the account. So the goal is to go to 100,000 by September 2021. So from that point, from September of 2020 to September 2021, and that'll be a 15,000 to 100,000, in terms of the account number. So, and then what I do there is then from there, what I'm planning on doing is then using this account more actively to pay myself for longer term investments, pay the IRA, and pay other things. So that's once we hit 100K, I'll cash myself out. Maybe I'll decide every month, every week, whatever kind of profits in there, I'll take out. I'll leave some in to keep compounding it, because the name of the game, for me, at least at my age, I love the idea. Just the idea of compound growth is insane, right? But I think that the compound effect, to a degree, playing penny stocks isn't as scalable as it is just diving deeper into building out massive positions in your core stocks. For example, if you're bullish on Tesla, building out massive positions in Tesla, building out massive positions in like dividend stocks, that'll really pay you, and the compound effect will do its job, and it's a lot less risky and it's a lot more passive. So there's no like, okay, I have to make sure that I'm on my game every single day. You can kind of, not take your foot off the pedal in a sense, but you can at least have the security in the background. So that's the goal, to be essentially at that point, as soon as possible, right? So that's at least the story behind the account stuff. Okay, let's see. Sorry if I'm missing things. Let's see. EBON. This is going to be a big one tomorrow, I think, with Bitcoin stuff, with Bitcoin pushing up. Bitcoin's pulling back a little bit here, but EBON is going to be a fun one to play. I think it's at a much more, relatively a much better spot. Take a look at this, kind of the trend line, right? It bounced that trend line at $5 and has recovered. So I think EBON could be a good one on the next leg of Bitcoin. If Bitcoin pushes back up to like new highs again, watch all these plays that ran last time, right? The EBONs, even there's LGHL, there's your Mara, there's your Riot, there's your SOS. There's plenty where that came from. DPW even. They're all going to probably make runs back towards their recent highs, which is going to be fun. Okay, let's see. REI is a good one to play. They have a lot of insider buying. REI, unfortunately, right? I wish I was looking at this chart and it was down here towards like $2. This one could be good though. If we take a peek, if I dive into, meanwhile, look at oil's up now too. Yeah, it keeps going. Let's see. REI. Let's see. Ring Energy. If we go down to the bottom of FinViz, we have more insider buys in January. 74 cents, 71 cents. Unfortunately, right, I would love to get this thing as low as I can. So right now, I'm not a huge fan of buying it up here, but that's at least my take. I like PLTR long term. I also think CCIV is a decent speculative play long term. So if you're fine with waiting it out for a little bit and taking some, I wouldn't have a massive position in CCIV, but taking somewhat of a speculative trade on it, for a longer term. Oh yeah, CAN is another one too. Yeah, this has been consolidating quite well in this kind of range. So yeah, we'll see how the Bitcoin plays work out tomorrow. And now let's see. We've been going for about an hour and 15, probably getting close to wrap things on up. So futures are coming back down off of where they were. They were a little bit higher at the start, but still green here, except tech is looking like it's kind of red. So we'll see what happens come tomorrow morning. I would like to see, to be honest, in the overall market, less volatility. Let's just let things kind of settle down. The VIX is down a little bit, so maybe we see things kind of settle down just a little bit into this week. ZOM, I think be careful into the, well, we got no March 30th. That's the launch of their True Forma product. If that goes well, awesome. Maybe we get a nice PR. If not, there's no PR and things are quiet, be careful of a sell the news. That's my only concern with that one. All right, let's see. CIDM. This is one that I think is, I've played this before. Yeah, it's come back. Let's see if we get rid of this box. Get rid of some of these lines because we can see that we had a little break of this trend. Somebody's waking up. Yeah, it's coming back down to a much better spot. Let's see if we can put a trend line in here and see. Yeah, roughly there is trend line support lower than where it's at right now, so it could come down some more. I would say down towards like in the upper 70s would be a really good spot, but seems like a decent idea. MVIS could be a nice. How this has probably gotten killed right in the recent market volatility. Yeah, it has. So this could be, if you like MVIS longer term, then this is your, oh, look at this. It kind of came down to a perfect spot. Let's put this little box in. Let's see. So roughly you have a gap area, kind of a, this is the spot that I would like to see hold. Roughly, something like that. So this $10-ish area is a really good support. Yeah, I covered ZOM. I dove a little deeper into ZOM back to the video. All right, so with that said, I'm going to probably wrap things up. So pumped for this week. I'm going to do another live Wednesday morning, so stay tuned for that Wednesday morning at the open for about an hour, so maybe like 15 minutes or so before the open into about like, half hour to an hour into the open. Wednesday, I think that's like the new plan. That'll be this Wednesday. It won't be the next Wednesday. I won't be here. But outside of that, Sunday nights usually I'll go live. Unfortunately, next Sunday night, there will be no live next Sunday, and there will be no live next Wednesday because I'll be away. But after that, we'll be back to normal. Still have videos planned. I have a taxes video plan, at least from my experience. And so I have some decent stuff that's coming out in the next week or so. So I figure while I'm away, I can drop the taxes video because, no, it's not going to be a popular video, but it's a video that I think is important for people who are, curious about taxes, how that stuff works, how to write things off, how to save some money. At least what I did personally. So that said, appreciate you guys. Hoping for a nice fat green day tomorrow, and things are looking a little green, a little even tech-wise. Tech's down, but we'll see. That could change it tomorrow. So I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button on the way out, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.